Yeah, last week we were talking about what is still the chief examiner of three realms, okay, from the sand writing. Let's see, I guess ask questions, okay. It says, do not underestimate, all right, or take lightly our inner strength. Do not accept being bound by the limitations, which is okay. So our inner strength comes from our Buddha nature. Our Buddha nature, of course, is if it's not limited by any kind of like our physical being or our mental limitations that we impose on it, right? With our mind, we tend to impose limitations, or they're limitations external, right? External limitations are like karma. Karma, you know, how situations we're in, people we're dealing with, they might impose, you know, kind of creates quote-unquote limitations. You know, these are the circumstances, but we should not be bound by those. Of course, karma is karma. We have to accept karma, but not being bound means that we don't accept it or you know, we have to endure it. But it's how we deal with it, how we accept it, right? So we don't fight it. We don't like try to create. In the process of if we become kind of fight it, go the opposite, try to do the opposite, right? Then that will create or extend that karma, right? So the karma, it's this thing that when we have karma, we have to accept it. We try to be grateful that we have this. I mean, we have to pay back whatever we owe anyway. So it's nothing like, oh, you know, I say I don't owe you this. You know, why is this happening to me? You know, if it's happening to us, then there's a reason, and that we owe someone, and so we pay back. If we can be grateful while we're while it's happening to us, the karma, then it's a lot easier. And who knows, the spirit, whoever that we owe, they might, you know, based on our, you can say, our attitude, our mindset, you know, what we do, it might touch them, okay? And so even though we owe them, let's say we're very appreciative, we're grateful, and we do things to help, to try to, you know, we help others, okay? So anytime we helping others, being of benefit to other sentient beings, while we are suffering, right, because of the karma, that will definitely help resolve that karma more quickly. Okay, so it's not like, you know, the attitude today, people, you know, they fight back, right? Fight back. We should not fight back, right? We should accept it and then do more. Be humble, right? Be grateful and do more to help others. And then so if we can kind of forget about our own selfish, you know, needs or desires, then that is one way to, because when we do that, right, we're helping others, then we're performing merit. It's developing our virtues too. So that will help to mitigate, you know, reduce karma. Okay, so that's always the best thing to do. It may not be easy at first, especially if it's really some, you know, maybe a long-term karma, you know, that we're suffering, like a cancer, for example. It's very difficult, but if we can be grateful every day, that will help. Okay. Side attachments and stubbornness. Let go of the ego or self. Get rid of selfish desires. Abide by the moral principles of the 5 cardinal relationships and the 5 constants and 8 virtues. Okay. Attachments. Where do our attachments, you know, desires, all these things come from, and our subjective view of the world. Right? We always have our view is always subjective. It's not objective or absolute. Okay, it's relative, right? You know, because everything, there's like this whole continuum, a whole range of views, right? And everyone kind of, depending on different people's perspective, they view things differently. That all comes from the self, that ego, okay, that ego or that false idea of self, because that's relative, okay, it's subjective, and so all our attachments, desires, it all comes from that too. So you want to let go of that. So letting go of attachments, yeah, it's that's there are two ways about it. You can let go of these external things. So from the this is kind of like the outside working in. So letting go of these external things, these attachments to things, or even attachments to our emotions, certain concepts, mindsets. Those are all part of that. Okay, so we have to let go of those. Ultimately, we let go of the ego. Okay, so that's one way to get back to letting go of the ego, is you work from the outside in. It's hard probably to just just be able to let go of the ego completely. So we do it from these various to let go, to finally get rid of that ego. And we want, so we follow, and one part of it, these teachings, these principles, is also the moral principles, right, of the 5 cardinal relationships, the relationships that we have with people in various capacity, right, whether it's in the family or in society. There's the proper way to conduct ourselves in those relationships, how we deal with people in those relationships. And those are all, that all comes from the Buddha nature, that true nature, right? Sometimes if we're not following those principles, then it's because we're following our ego again, and you can say it's kind of like a biased view of things. It's not the proper view of how we should be, okay? Because all those biased views, they all come from, it's you can say it's carried over from many lifetimes of habits and desires, okay? So those are that makes it sometimes difficult to get rid of these attachments, okay? We don't think that we have an attachment, that we do, but we do, right? So it becomes part of this is we want to self-reflect. If we can self-reflect and think about it, think about these things before we act or we say something, right? Because sometimes we just say something or we do something, it's almost habit, almost automatic, right? That's because of it's habit, okay? Things that carried over, and those are attachments. So we want to get rid of those. So we have to reflect on ourselves, and if we don't see our own attachments or our own faults, then we depend on other people to guide us, to mention it to us. Then we have to be grateful too, to help that they're helping us, pointing out that there's a fault that we need to correct. Okay, so whenever someone tells us something, that maybe there's a fault or some habit that we should correct, then we should definitely accept it. Accept what they're saying, self-reflect. And we have to self-reflect, see that, almost self-analyze, say that, when they say that, then the next time we're going to talk or we do things, we have to reflect on ourselves and see if that's true, okay? Because our eyes unfortunately look outward and we don't see ourselves with our eyes, right? That's why we have to use our Buddha nature to look at ourselves. All right. Okay, so follow the direction of saints and sages, be a good pillar of society. So this is by the example of the saints and sages, okay? They follow all these moral principles that we talked about just previously. And so they set a good moral example for us, and that's why we call them saints and sages, okay? So to be a good pillar of society, within society, also to be, an example, a good role model for other people. So in today's world, there are all these role models, right? these famous people, singers, all these rich people. Right? A lot of people treat them as idols, right, or as their role models. But that's what they want to pursue. They want to be like them. But that's, again, those are, these saints and sages are teaching us the kind of the opposite. It's like those are the things that we shouldn't pursue, right? The fame, wealth, power, because those are our. I think, actually, in the marvelous scripture, it kind of talks more about that. But that's taking the path of, you're creating a lot of karma, and it's the unenlightened path, right? All these material things that we pursue are, whether it's fame or wealth, they're temporary. Okay, so even like a president, all right, they have power for 4 years, and then if they get reelected, 8 years, but then that's it. Okay, they can't continue that, right? So it's all temporary, anyways. Really, what's more important is what we do with our lives. A meaningful life. Yeah, you can have a meaningful life as a president, right? You can certainly do a lot of things for the country. But we don't need to do that, become a president to have a meaningful life, right? There are a lot of things meaningful to a lot of the people around us, all right? So that we can touch a lot of people that are within our circle. And as long as we're virtuous, and the way to influence people is become virtuous, influence other people to also be virtuous, right? Then that's the only way to achieve harmony and peace in the world, right? If everyone's pursuing money and power, I don't think there will be peace and harmony, right? Because people are then they start getting, right? It's all for themselves, right? All for yourself. Then people are going to be climbing people's backs just to get that, right? So that's not the way, right? So it's better to be modest, humble, always to let others go ahead, let others take the credit. That's always the best way to achieve that peace and harmony. Right? Okay. Plant the seed of kindness, goodness, to enjoy or reap the blessings and wisdom. Quickly nurture and cultivate virtues to stride towards a bright future. Right, so how we plant the seed of kindness, goodness, again, is if we follow these principles, practice our virtues, in part of our practice of virtues, then we performing merits. We're naturally be performing merits, helping people, accumulating merits. And so that will then, of course, there's going to be a return, right? This is all part of cause and effect. So we'll be planting the seed, the cause, and eventually we'll get enjoy the blessings and also wisdom. So we're not seeking, the material type of return. We shouldn't be seeking any return, but automatically, heaven, the Buddhas, they will bless us, right? And we'll have. It should help us in our lives, in our cultivation, and also, of course, we gain more wisdom, especially if we start letting go of that ego, letting go of all our attachments. That wisdom naturally will develop and come out, right? And the wisdom is our best guide in life. Okay, it's not the external knowledge that we can gain, because external knowledge doesn't typically help you in like human relationships, right? So we're in all sorts of relationships, dealing with people all the time. So wisdom is very useful, and also in dealing in situations, it's not just our knowledge that will help us. Our wisdom guides us even better, right? So we nurture and cultivate our virtues, and we'll have a brighter future. Okay, doesn't mean we're going to become rich or famous, right? But our future, this is the path towards enlightenment, the path towards, sainthood or Buddhahood. Okay, so that's a much better, long-term, eternal goal. So that's better than anything else that you can get in this world. So remember, these are your brother's words: establish and strengthen oneself, or strive for that self-reliance and self-improvement. Okay. So once we know the principles, then we can use those principles. Okay, as long as we understand the principles and know how to apply it in our daily life. Okay, that's why we're here to learn. But don't just take it as some knowledge and then we don't know how to use it. Really, we have to know how to use it. Okay, that's how we establish and strengthen ourselves. Become self-reliant in how we can improve ourselves. Ultimately, all this Dharma, all these teachings, this is just like the spark, okay, to get that fire going. That fire, that internal fire, you have to keep that going yourself, ultimately. So the spark is just to get you started, right? Ultimately, you cannot depend on all these these teachings, okay? Ultimately, once you internalize these understanding of the principles, then naturally you will know what to do, know how to, basically conduct yourself, follow these principles, right? So that's it's hard to teach that. I mean, it's hard to learn that. It's just something that you have to come from your own practice. The mindset has to be proper, the attitude. Then and through practice, then we'll gradually we'll get to that point. Okay. And then so finally it says, do not be too casual, right? Or depraved or degenerate, which means means unrestrained, reckless, all these things. And he's going to stand aside invisibly. Okay. So yeah, especially in a Dharma class, definitely. It's a special class, right? And we have class every week, which we're a little bit more informal and can be a little bit more casual. But during a Dharma class, especially, it's more should be a little bit more formal, and so we need to be aware of what we're doing, what we're saying. Make sure we follow the rules. Okay. All right. So that's the scripture from the chief examiner of 3 realms. This is in Iowa. Any questions on this? Okay. We'll continue.
Well, does anyone find that any of the lines from the scripture, some of them may have attended Dharma class not only once, but has any of the words of Buddha's and saints helped you in your life? Do you have anything in your daily experience that you want to share? Johnny. It's anything? Everything in general, right? Okay. Anybody else?
In karma.
Huh?
With karma. It's rather than
Karma. Karma, right?
Karma is very difficult thing, especially it's very harsh.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to also, from my own experience, it's very important that we really do in accordance with the words and exhortations by the Buddhas and saints. Tao is to be experienced, like what our lectures often emphasize. If we don't really live in the Tao, we don't walk the talk, then it's very hard for that to become part of us. And it's very hard for us to bring out our Buddha nature. Then all these lines are just like knowledge, external knowledge. It's like even Buddhas in sense that if we don't practice what they are sharing with us, then their words are useless.
Yeah, I mean, we also have to be sincere. Okay, sincerity is very important, actually, in the practice, and actually in doing anything. Okay, but especially in the cultivation, definitely be sincere in your cultivation. So, sincere is like really, yeah, you put in, part of it is really putting in true effort. Okay, it's not just, oh yeah, I just follow this a little bit, and I'll follow it half the time, or or I'll just put in 50% effort in whatever. Yeah, we really need to put in that 100% or even more. But that's true sincerity. Sincerity, that's our heart and mind. That sincerity is really what heaven cares about. Okay, it's not the external stuff, not any of the forms. It's that true sincerity that's in our heart and mind. Okay, and that true sincerity can touch heaven. Okay, it can move heaven. It can move heaven and earth. Okay, so that's very important. So always just be sincere. It's not necessarily how much that we can do. We have some limitations. Whether it's time or any resources, we always have limitations. But sincerity will make up for that. Okay, so even though let's say we don't have much money, we donate. You'll hear the stories of the poor person who donates $1, is more valuable than the person, rich person who donates, 10,000, because that dollar came from sincerity, and maybe that's all they had. Okay, so we shouldn't look at these, especially these material things, these forms, as being absolute. Okay, it all, again, the more you can say, the more absolute it is looking at one's sincerity. Okay, so that's what from my own experience, I think I would say that sincerity is very important. It's probably the most important thing. Okay, in cultivation. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll continue with the scripture by Guanyin Bodhisattva, or Avalokitesvara, okay, and Naza, third prince. Okay, so they channeled at the same time, okay, and because Guanyin Bodhisattva is she is I guess one of the trailblazers or the pioneers of spreading the Tao. Okay, the Buddhas that's responsible. And Naza is also, I forget what the exact the difference between the two, but they're both like the pioneers or the trailblazers for the Tao. So anywhere that the Tao is spread, that we spread the Tao to, they're always there first, okay, to help support and spread the Tao, help us to propagate the Tao, all right? And so, okay, so Guanyin, this is the way they composed this, they kind of alternated the lines. Okay, so the first line was composed by Guanyin, is a superior person or a virtuous person is not depraved or degenerate or unrestrained or reckless. Okay, so this is kind of similar to what the chief examiner said. All right, and then the third prince said, okay, so upholding modesty rids us of arrogance and presumptuousness. Okay, or ardity. So we need to be modest and humble, right? That's also another thing, right? So there are many, in cultivation, yeah, there are all these things, sincere, being humble, being grateful, all these things that we should remember to practice, to do. Okay, so modesty, of course, you can say it's the opposite of being arrogant. Okay, so I don't know. This is kind of like a truism, in saying that if we uphold modesty, then it gets rid of the other thing. But that's true. I mean, obviously, if we try to be modest, we try to be humble, then we won't be as arrogant. Okay, so sometimes we feel like we need to get recognition from people, like, oh, I did all this work, and how come it's like no one mentions it? Sometimes because as humans, sometimes that's our ego, right? Sometimes we feel like kind of getting some kind of feedback to recognize yeah, I am doing good work. Getting some praise. But it is, I mean, as a person, as other people who are, of course, if we see that someone is doing really well, doing lots of good work, we can praise them. I mean, from the other person, right? I mean, but as the person who's doing it, yeah, we shouldn't try to seek that. If other people recognize it, they'll, assuming that they're not, totally indifferent, then they'll praise us anyways. Okay, so we shouldn't seek that. But always being modest is definitely being humble. People will even praise us more, praise us even more, right? If we're arrogant and say, look at all I've done, I do all this, then there's no reason for anyone to praise us, right? So we're already praising ourselves. So that's part of arrogance. And so being humble, we don't have to worry about praise. People will praise us. They'll recognize our work. Okay. All right. And so the merciful heart grows and nurtures without contention and greed. It's very serene. Right. Yeah. Okay. So that merciful, that kind, compassionate heart, right? It allows us to grow, to be a better person. Along that path to become enlightened, to be more inclusive of others, to let go of that self, okay? So be more selfless, right? So contention, trying to vie for things, greed, right? Wanting things. These are all symptoms, symptoms or characteristics of being selfish, right? It's greed, of course, things, desires for ourselves, okay? Contending for things, fighting for things, it's always for ourselves, so that's selfish. So having a merciful heart, compassionate heart, kind heart, that's really, it's not about the self, it's about others, right? We're helping others, we're giving to others. So that's, it brings this calm, peace and calm, tranquility within, the serenity within us, and also with other people too. Okay, so you won't get into conflict by being nice, by being kind. Okay. So indifferent to fame and gain. Okay, to be content. Be still and tranquil to nurture this internal light. Okay, so yeah, we're all tempted by these material things, fame, gain, power, all sorts of things. It's very tempting because that's really what society tells us is important. That you should become famous, you should become wealthy, right? You should, and that's so. But society is, it's unenlightened. So, and that's what they teach us in school or anywhere. So that we have to use our wisdom to understand that we shouldn't take it, seriously. That should be taken more lightly, and be content with what we have. It doesn't mean that we don't pursue our goals or have any ambitions, but we shouldn't sometimes people that they try so hard to try to gain that power, right? Try to become elected, and they keep trying. Sometimes, of course, a lot of that is for selfish gain, but for us, it's like, oh yeah, we try to get a better job, get more, get better pay, but if it doesn't come, then it doesn't come. I mean, we don't have to keep become obsessed about it, or
become consumed by it.
Right, and then because that leads to
you destroy everything.
Then
destroy your family,
plus our virtues. Then we lose our virtues. Then we might start doing things illegally to try to get what we want. Right, so that goes down the wrong path. Path of destruction. So that's why we have to be careful. So enough is enough, right? So whatever is enough for us to use to live on, to have a decent, comfortable life, then that's good enough. There's no need to keep pursuing, right? So that's how we can achieve, that peace. Because these people you see, they don't come to the temple because they're so busy working. For what? I mean, they just have to keep making money. I mean, ultimately, it's for their family, but ultimately, how much do you really need, right?
Well, this just goes back to the middle way.
Yeah.
So you have to make a living.
Yeah.
That's true. But then at some point, you kind of go to the extreme.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we had. Now it's different for everybody. There's no one fix, for one size fits all.
Yeah.
Everybody has different because there's karma, there's different circumstances, background, whatever. But the key is you have to maintain that 中庸. What is that 中庸? What is that middle way?
Yeah, whatever is appropriate. Whatever. Yeah, 中庸. You can say one way is it's whatever is appropriate, whatever is just proper, and.
It also means neither extreme.
Yeah, it's not extreme.
Buddha realized that when he was cultivating, right? Using, fast, survive on one sesame seed a day, all that. That's ridiculous, right? I mean, we know that that's ridiculous. So he realized, and he died. He almost died. Right? He got saved by that shepherd girl or whatever, right? Famous story. But then, so he realized, there's got to be a middle path. Right? Because before he was a prince, he was enjoyed everything. He wasted so much things. They had just parties every day at his palace. Waste so much stuff. That's one extreme. Then the other extreme is, he starved himself to death. So it's neither extreme, right? So that's the middle path. So you have to find. Each person has to find it themselves, right? What that middle path is.
Yeah. Okay, so now, then that internal light is the light from our Buddha nature, light from our virtues. That is, it's natural, it's there. We just need to let it shine out. And when we have all these attachments, these selfishness, desires, that kind of blocks it. That prevents it from that light from shining. So. And if that light doesn't shine out, then other people don't see it either. So, right? So, all right. And then so this warmth, ultimately we have this warmth and fragrance all around. Fragrance, actually, they use fragrance, but it really means what? It's like.
Well, it's the internal aroma fragrance.
Yeah.
It's from our Buddha nature.
Yeah, it just means it's something very, a good, kind of good scent. I don't know. As a cultivator, as a virtuous person, you're humble, we're unselfish, right? Then obviously people will want to be around us too. Okay, so that attracts, people want to be around us. So that's what this part means too, right? Okay, so then they announce themselves, right? All right, Guanyin Bodhisattva bring Naza third prince to this temple by Lamu's authority. Upon entering, we make obeisance to Lamu. How are you worthy cultivators? How are you brothers and sisters? Okay. So they continue. Oh, okay. Well, actually, so the next scripture then is it's a song that Guanyin Bodhisattva composed. All right, the song, the title, it's based on a song that's called "Break Up" or "Breaking Up." Okay, in a relationship. Okay, so you can see that that's the theme here. So it says, "When resolved to break up, there is no need for any words. Leave behind in the currents of this world that which we should not keep. Okay, just be calm like so, wave the hand, lose the ignorance, to start a new life just like this, easy and free." Okay, so no more attachments or obsessions, no more confusion. To have a more open mind, to be more magnanimous. Right? Seize the opportunity to do it silently. The planted seed will bear fruit. Work hard for a good return. All right, so this song is talking about breaking up with what? What are we breaking up with? Anyone?
Human nature.
Huh?
The material world.
Yeah.
Yeah, material world, attachments, okay? So those are the things that we shouldn't keep, okay? So, because those aren't part of our original nature, our true nature, Buddha nature. All right, so those are the things that we've accumulated, collected in this world, okay? And so they should stay in this world. And so that's, there's no need for any excuse, make long sorts of excuses, right? Or say anything. I mean, it's just these are things that we shouldn't have. We shouldn't keep these things, attachments, and all, etc. Just let them go, and do it. Be calm. It can be as simple as just waving the hand. Okay, so everything. You said, oh, I can't let go of this. I can't live without this. It's like it's all in the mind. Okay, one difference. Yeah, I mean, it's just a change of mindset, the attitude, and that you can turn on a dime. Okay, really. I mean, it's that quick. But I don't know. It's the only question is whether we're willing, right? Whether we have that will to do it. Then it can be very quick. Just like people like becoming a vegetarian, right? Maybe some people they take it gradually. I took it gradually. But some people they can just like that. They read this thing about how these animals are treated, and it's like, wow, I didn't know that. And then that day they just become vegetarian, just like that. So it's all in the mind. Okay, we can make that change, right? It can be very simple if we can let go of these things, right? To start a new life just like this, it's very easy and free. Easy and free from all sorts of attachments, because when we have attachments to things, we become, you can say, enslaved. We think we're the master, but we become enslaved to these things, right? It's like, oh, I bought a new car. Well, I gotta every day I gotta clean it. I gotta right, polish it every week, wax it. We become a slave to that, right? Slave to these material things, and so we're not free. We're not really free. And then suddenly something happens to my car. Oh my God! It's like all these. It's like, oh, I get very upset, and why? That's not being easy and free. Okay, so should be easy come, easy go. Anything that we get, it's like it's no big deal. All right. So no more attachments, no more confusion over what's really important in life. Right. Be more open-minded. Also be magnanimous, be tolerant, be having an open mind. That's part of it. Okay, so we have a very narrow mind. That's why we're attached to things. We have obsessions. This is another way of saying getting rid of attachments. Okay, have a very broad mind, open mind. We can accept different views. Okay, all sorts of views, and also being more kind to others, being more tolerant of others. All right, that's being magnanimous. Seize this opportunity and do it silently. This opportunity that we have in this life, right? Now that we learn about this, we know about this, we should don't if you're given the truth and you don't act upon it, then that's a waste. Okay, so actually in this lifetime we have this chance, especially we receive the three treasures, right? That allows us to transcend this life and death. But if we don't make good on it by cultivating, then we're still going to have to come back and suffer again. Okay, and start over. So that's why this opportunity, especially now we're in this white period, we have this chance we can wipe clean our karmic debts, okay, and then we can become Buddhas and saints, but we do it silently, meaning we don't we be humble. We don't announce to everyone that seeking recognition that I did this, I did all these good things. Okay, we do it just every chance we get, we should do it without letting other people know. And so ultimately this seed that we plant will bear fruit, and we work hard, so we still have to put in that effort, right, to work hard for a good ultimate return. That good return will be the transcending, becoming Buddha, even, that's the highest level. But ultimately, and this is also, everything that we do, of course, is also good for our ancestors too. So it's not just for us, right? So this is a good song, and after we're done, I can play the song for you. All right. And maybe someone can sing it. All right. Okay.
The song sound like a solution for any problem.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, I mean, deal with things calmly, right? We deal with anything calmly. Try to let it go, basically. Try to let it go. And again, it's all in our mindset, our attitude. We can have a quick change just like that. Don't let our emotions, don't let our senses be in control. Okay, it's when those are in control is when it's we have difficulty in trying to let go. Okay. All right. Yeah. So this applies, to everything in our lives. Okay. Okay. So then, Jigong Buddha then does. Oh wait. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So Jigong Buddha then on the second day composed scripture here. Actually, what he's describing is the scripture within the scripture. Okay, from the marvelous scripture. We'll talk about that in the next hour. So he talks about this left side nobility. Okay. 贵族. Okay, so what it means to value and uphold this humble modesty. Okay, so again, we were just talking about, being humble, be modest, right? So to be able to eradicate, get rid of likes and dislikes, okay, that you and me attachment. These are attachments to forms of comparison and division, right? So like and dislike, it's a type of comparison, right? You compare. The reason why you like some things and you don't like some things, there's some comparison being done. You say, oh, you compare this to that. I like how this thing looks, or I like how this thing tastes more than the other one, right? So this is all within this subjective, this relative world that we're in, the yin yang. So that's how we like to view things, through comparison. And the other type is what do you say? Comparisons, also comparison. It's a division, it's separation, separating me and you. Okay, so we are different. Okay, so it's a similar thing. Okay, but when we're dealing with people, then we have that type of that division. Okay, so but the Buddha nature, the true nature, is all. There is no separation, no division, no comparison. The Buddha nature is all equal. So, every one of our Buddha nature, even with the Buddhas, it's the same. Okay, the only difference is how much merit we have, how much virtue that we've developed. Okay, so, but the Buddha nature, that potential is all the same. Okay, so ultimately, if we can look past the forms, then it's we're all equal. There's no difference, right? So that's why we have to try to get rid of like and dislike. Like and dislike is part of this karmic world. Okay, we create cause and effect. We create karma when we have these likes and dislikes and this you and me type of separation, division. Okay, that leads to, okay, let's say it leads to creating karma, right? To be indifferent to fame and gain, okay, to take it lightly, to cut off the notions of right and wrong, to be in a state of stillness and quietude. Okay, so all of this is talking about this left side nobility. That it implies all these. So not to pursue those forms of these material things of fame and gain. Even our notions of right and wrong, again, that's like and dislike. It's the same thing. It's true that these teachings, they teach us morality, right? They say what's right and what's wrong. Okay, that's true. But ultimately, it's neither. This is from the human point of view. right? From the Buddha nature point of view, from the true nature, it's obvious that we don't kill, right? Because that's a very inherent, innate sense of that we have, that we know, okay, innate knowledge, that we know that it's we don't kill, something is living, we don't take its life, okay. So really, from the Buddha nature point of view, there is no right and wrong. This is just the way it is. It should be like this, okay. So, but humans, we apply that right and wrong, that notion of right and wrong. So we have to kind of go beyond that, right?
Yeah, but I think, it's true. Ultimately, yeah, you're right. Based on our Buddha nature, there is no right or wrong.
Yeah.
There's no duality.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's true. But for people to reach that
Yeah.
level, we have to learn what is right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's kind of like backwards, but that's at least they know. So in that sense, it's like religion, right? We all teach people to be good, right? You don't kill, you don't rob, you don't steal, the 3 poisons, the 5 taboos, the 10 precepts, all that stuff, the defilements, 6 defilements, whatever, all that stuff. So you do have to see that. But then the next level, right? The next level is to say, these are all because we live in this physical existence that has duality, and these are all impermanent. So even, that's what Dharma Sutra said, right? Even says, even my Dharma is not really a Dharma. So it's like contradiction, right? Because we only say it's a Dharma, so that's how we say, this is right and wrong, because we have duality. That's one way. But actually higher than that is emptiness, it's空, right? It's beyond. So that's what they meant, right? So.
Yeah, actually, also the right and wrong, notions of right and wrong is not what society says is right and wrong. Okay, these are society makes laws, right? Civil laws, criminal laws, whatever. These are made by humans. If they're not following the conscience, the Buddha nature to make these laws, then it's just kind of arbitrary. Okay, so their notions of right and wrong could be different in different countries, different cultures, right? So that could be that's very relative. So that's why we have to be careful of those types of notions of right and wrong, the ones that viewed relatively. So in some cultures it's okay to do certain things, in other cultures it's not. Okay, so
like polygamy.
Yeah,
some
yeah.
cultures have, it's okay
Right, yeah.
to have polygamy.
Right.
I don't know. Some cultures say it's taboo, right?
Right.
So I don't know.
So then that's also So it's all relative there.
And just like in the USA, when the Republican is controlling the Senate, then they tend to have legislation that's more in favor of the wealthy, right?
Yeah, that's true too. That's true.
Yeah. So those aren't not based on any absolute principles or truths. So that's why we have to be careful of those. Okay, so all of the above, being humble, modest, to get rid of these likes, dislikes, you and me attachments to forms and comparisons and divisions, okay, to be indifferent, to take lightly the fame and gain, cut off these notions of right and wrong, and so that we can be in that state of stillness and quietude. These are all manifestations of that left side nobility. And it's also an auspicious sign, okay, so that's very good. If we can manifest these, this left side nobility, then that's very auspicious, very good, good omen. Okay, if we're able to maintain this cultivation accordingly, then our life will benefit boundlessly. Okay, so and we tend to seek these, you can say, confirmation from material things that benefits that we get from doing things, but actually, these benefits. The true benefits are not necessarily in these material forms. Okay, so it doesn't mean that we practice this that we'll become wealthy, but we may be healthy. Okay, so that may be a benefit. That not just of body but also of mind. Okay, and obviously our virtues are the merit of our virtues is also boundless. Okay, so that we reap the boundless benefit in heaven. Okay, in the formless realm. Okay, and then finally he says, he announced himself, I Jigong living Buddha, come to this temple by Lao Mu's authority and meet with my dear disciples, making obeisance to Lao Mu upon entry. How are you? Okay, so so this is, okay, so that was the explanation of that marvelous scripture, the words within the marvelous scripture, and then actually Guanyin and well, no, these aren't the words. This is describing the two words within the, yeah, that's a separate one. And then what Guanyin, Bodhisattva, and the third prince, they're that initial thing. That's actually the scripture within the scripture, okay, that they already composed. So now we're going to talk about the marvelous scripture. Okay, so this is also, it's composed by Guanyin, Bodhisattva, Third Prince, and Jigong Buddha. Okay, so the first half is by Guanyin, Bodhisattva, and Third Prince. So the first line, it starts, the superior, I didn't mark the characters in red, but all right. The superior or virtuous person and left side nobility are considered to be yang, which is positive or auspicious. Follow Tao and nurture virtues to transform the world. So, yeah, this left side nobility, again, a cultivator, a true cultivator should follow the characteristics, have those characteristics of that left side nobility that we just talked about before the break. Okay. So again, being humble, letting go of attachments, all those things. So that's positive. So like in the temple, right? In the temple, you have, or other settings. This comes from the ancient, the past in China. Like in the temple, the left is our right. When we look at the altar, right, the right side, which is actually from the other point of view is the left side, right? Mm-hmm. That is actually the left side nobility refers to that side. Okay, and just like our left in general is better. So like when we offer the incense, we always use the left hand. It's because the right hand is usually that's the one that holds the weapon and that causes destruction and kills and harms. The left hand is not. So the left, that's what this kind of all refers to. So follow the Tao and nurture the virtues and transform the world, right? So we can transform the world through virtues, through our virtuous deeds and words. It's true that using force, using military might and all sorts of things can effect change, but that's temporary. Okay, so it's like you conquer, right? One country conquers another one, but if you physically you've conquered them, but you didn't conquer their heart and mind, right, of the people necessarily, right? So to transform the heart and minds of people, you have to use virtue, use the Tao. Right? So it's not the physical transformation from the outside. Using.
Well, it's not force.
Yeah, you use no force, right? Right. Yeah, you can't force. People to.
Force.
Yeah. Then it's impermanent. People will change. They're gonna.
It's impermanent. Right. You can force people to
do something,
it, but then
it won't last. It won't last.
Right. And why it won't last? Because it's based on what?
External oppression,
right.
Whatever.
Or laws, whatever. But if you don't have those things, you lose it, right? So that's not real power.
Yeah.
See, that's not the real strength. Right?
I think in the ancient time there was an emperor. The army actually defeated the army of the other country, but upon the return of the soldiers, he asked to play the mourning music and this is why our country has, one war, so it should be a,
Celebration.
celebration
Right.
of victorious occasion. And they said, whenever there's a war, death
Loss
of
of-
people, loss of lives.
Yeah, everyone loses in war, right?
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
everyone loses. Even if you win, you lose.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well,
So.
this 左贵, right?
贵族。
贵族
it's from the Tao Te Ching, right?
Yeah.
Chapter
Oh, right, yeah.
26.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
26, it's the second verse. But he also talks
This is
about
I think, chapter 31.
贵右, there's
Oh.
右跟左, right?
Yeah.
But he's saying the right side, well, this is left.
Yeah.
Because in emperor's court,
Right, yeah,
in
both,
emperor,
yeah.
there's right and left, right? He has ministers,
Right.
他有他的 minister, whatever, 宰相, right? Ministers, left, right.
Gotcha.
His generals are on the right side. You
Yeah.
know that?
Yeah.
So that's why
They represent
he
the-
goes, yeah, because they represent the fourth, your right hand. It's powerful, right? It's strong, right? So your right hand. No, it's emperor, right? From the emperor's seat.
Right.
You look at his minister on the right. Now this is the history. This is the background. It's all his generals on the right. You know that?
Yeah.
But then his
All
minister
the
is
other-
like, maybe I don't know.
Education,
All
culture,
kind of
whatever.
yeah,
Those
culture,
different.
education, whatever.
Scholars.
Teacher,
The scholar,
scholar,
the scholar.
mentor.
Yeah.
It's all on the left. Like Confucian scholars
Yeah.
in this case, or Taoist scholars would be on his left. So that's why he's emphasizing. Really, also it goes deeper too. If you want to get more deeper, it's really low and gang.
Yeah.
It's really that too. Okay, so I don't want to, so that's why you said you don't use force,
Yeah.
right? Remember, it has to transform from within. It's really from your low side, your soft side.
Yeah,
call
the
it
gentle,
side.
soft,
Really,
kind.
that's, if you really want to go more deeper into that, into analysis, that's really, the right is really gang represents steel, firmness
Yeah.
or stiffness. So you don't rely on that. You rely on the softness.
Yeah.
So also that too.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because ultimately the left or the soft, the gentle will overcome the
Gentle,
hard,
right,
the,
right.
the
But that's
firm.
the
right?
core theme of Tao Te Ching too, right? 柔
Yeah.
刚 water,
Right.
水可以
Overcome any
stone,
solid,
to
hard
dissolve
object.
stone or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's important.
Okay, same principle.
Covenant.
That's a
What?
concept.
Our
Covenant?
covenant is left over.
Well, yeah. I mean, same thing. Yeah, right. When we hold our covenant as left hand over the right hand. Yeah. I mean, it's all based on the same principle. Okay. Okay. So by following the truth or the true principles, then we won't be confused or be at a loss. A gentle and sincere heart is a kind heart. Okay. We by being confused or being at a loss is when we follow our senses, our six senses, follow our emotions. That leads us to do things, that basically, our emotions are unprincipled. Okay, right?
Or you can say unpredictable.
Yeah, unpredictable, unprincipled. They don't follow any set principle. Okay, but so that's why we, our
Well,
conscience.
it's unreliable.
Yeah,
The key
right.
is
That too.
it's
It's unreliable too.
undependable.
Right. So the true principles stemming from our conscience. That's always, you can say it's always constant. It's always constant.
It's unbiased.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then, so demonstrate self-restraint in our dealings with others and in our conduct in society. Our conduct will not leave or violate the principles of morality, right? Those five cardinal relationships and five constants and eight virtues. Right. Not
from the principle.
right. So again, yeah, self-restraint is we need self-restraint because of our, again, our emotions, our senses are in control. So we need to kind of hold them back, okay, restrain them from doing things, like anger, things like that. We have to restrain.
That's where discipline comes in. That's
Yeah.
a part of the six paramitas too, right? Remember?
So all these,
Right?
yeah, the
Second
practice,
paramita?
yeah, there are all these these attributes that we need to learn and practice. Okay, so then, right, so then there's also, following the middle way, the Zhongyong, okay. Then, we follow these principles of how we conduct ourselves with people and situations. Okay, so not only do we have magnanimity in accommodating others, but we also radiate dignity that moves or touches others. So,
Or tolerance.
yeah, we have to be, tolerant. We're tolerant. We're magnanimous, big-hearted, open-hearted, open-minded, in dealing with others, accommodating others.
That's
So,
another pyramid. Tolerance, right?
yeah, right. Well, yeah, that's more, I think. Yeah, I mean that one, the nu though, is more being suffering
It's both.
but it could be
It's
both ways.
It's
Yeah.
both.
But we also radiate dignity. Okay, so yeah, naturally, if we are very, we follow these virtues of, that we're talking about, these principles, then and we're very magnanimous, very tolerant, then yeah, we radiate to have this air about us that can touch and move people. All right, they see. So it's always the case that, like these pacifist movements, right? These leaders, Gandhi or Martin Luther King, right? The non-force, not using force, non-violence to make change, effect change.
It goes back to Thoreau too.
Yeah, it goes way back. But
in America too, I mean, besides other
right.
other cultures.
People are moved by that.
Even Jesus.
Yeah,
Jesus
it's the same thing.
Nonviolent.
Right.
The Buddhists are
Nonviolent, right. So that's how you can, effect change and move and touch others. I mean,
That's what's lasting.
right. That'll last lot longer, right? Okay, so we do not put on appearances, right? Doing things for show. We don't talk without substance and sincerity. Okay, so I mentioned sincerity before. That's very important. That we're not doing it for the outward appearance or the forms. Okay, we don't do it for show. That's for sure. When we do, when we're just doing it for appearance show, then we don't mean it. Okay, there's no sincerity. There's a lack of sincerity. There's no substance behind it. So everything we do has to have substance. This is really one of the key, you can say the key teaching points and principles from Confucius, right? When he says, when he talks about, I forgot the word again.
Oh yeah. No. There is in Great Learning, verse 2, chapter 1, verse 2, right? 而后有定，定而后有静，静能静，静而后能安，安而后能虑，虑而后能得，就这样。No. That the next verse 3 or verse 4, he talk about they have to 静，修他们的心，right？ 不要治国啊，什么的，有那个
About
It's 4 and 5, verse 4 and 5.
One of
Okay,
the 8
大
clauses.
chapter 1, verse 4 and 5.
尽心诚意，
从你要治国，
发表
对，起家就在跟起家一样，你要修你的身啊，你要心要静啊，要正，心要正。That's what.
Yeah, but also, like 诚恳心, right? That true, sincere heart, genuine heart. Where, yeah, because a lot of things sometimes we're working on something, let's say, little minor task, and we don't really put true effort into it. I mean, we think this is a little minor thing, sweeping the floor maybe, we just do it casually. But really, we have to have that sincerity all the time, anything we do. Then whatever you do you can say it's very complete, very wonderful.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just satisfactory. Because we tend to consider some things more important. Maybe I'm more sincere doing this, and less sincere doing something that I don't think consider as important. But that's not. We shouldn't be like that. Right? We should always be sincere.
Focus too.
Focus is part of it.
Your mind, heart and mind to it,
Right.
to a task,
Right.
whatever task.
Right.
And then when you do that, it'll turn out well.
Yeah.
It'll turn out satisfactory
Right.
or 圆满.
Right.
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 So that's what.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's a story about sincerity. I think there is one of the scholars who was an ambassador visiting another country, and in the past they bore or they wore a sword as a symbol of what do you call the like he's the dedicated to do that, and so they wore a sword. And the king of the country he's visiting liked the sword, and he kept looking at the sword. So in this scholar's mind, he said, "I'm going to give him the sword when I, finish my mission, as the ambassador." But then when he finished all his trips to other countries and came back to this country, the king already passed away. Remember? And what he did was he hung the sword in his gravesite. Yeah, and so one of his followers asked him, "He's already dead, and you never verbally promised to give Lord." They say, "I already promised that in my heart, so I have to do that."
虚假化解。
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also a sincerity, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you keep your promise.
That's a true expression.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we keep. Yeah, even though we may not tell other people, but whatever's in our heart and mind, we follow through. We follow through with what we think we want to do, and we should do it. So that's also sincerity. Okay. So, all right. So we earnestly perform, right? Do the above, perform the above without neglect. Become the best of the best role model in our manifestation of Tao. Okay. So again, it's not easy. We may not necessarily view ourselves as role models for others, but all these things. That's why we learn. We do our best to practice, do it the right way, because we don't. We may not think we're role models, but other people might view us as role models, especially if we're like, a lecturer or, temple host or transmitter, right? They expect you to be a role model. And if we don't conduct ourselves accordingly and not like a role model, then that could have a big influence. People, they see, well, why talk about cultivation, especially we talk about all these things, but we don't do it ourselves, then that's really bad. Then people see that, and then they're not going to come.
I think there's one thing from also ancient China, is when we win other people over other people, then we are very wise, but we are truly strong. When we can really transcend ourselves, get rid of our own,
Right.
bad habits or weaknesses.
Right. Yeah. So, we should not, especially for us who are maybe teaching, okay, using the dharmas to teach others. We should never use the dharma to say, "Oh, look, you don't do this. See, the dharma says this. You don't do this." We should never do it like that. We should always look at ourselves and say, "Oh, use it to." Teach ourselves too. I mean, it's like never say other people, "Oh, you don't follow this."
Benchmark.
But yeah, I mean, you don't. This is like the standard here. You don't follow. But we have to always reflect on ourselves and apply it to ourselves. Okay, first. All right. Only when we're perfect. Well, even if we're perfect, we cannot say other people to say, "Oh, see, this is not. You don't do this."
That's why
They never say that. They never say that.
Never say, "See, I do this." They never say that.
They don't say that either. Yeah. Right. So, yeah. Again, it's.
They basically they teach by example. That's what role model.
Right.
That's all it means. They don't preach by. They don't teach by preaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
They teach by
example, right?
That's really another way of saying it.
Okay, so the Tao that lives in our heart can remove hindrances or obstacles. The exuberant spirit of Tao gives us serenity. So if we follow the Tao, if we're practicing the Tao, then of course there are all these obstacles that we have. Whether they're attachments, emotions, desires, all those are obstacles, are hindrances. Okay, so by following these practices, these principles, that will help us to get rid of them. Okay, right. So let's see. Right, and then so having that spirit of Tao within us, gives us that serenity or that calmness, that composure, that tranquility within, so that we won't be influenced by the external world or our sense, emotions. Okay. Having high expectations for ourselves. We will not be short of modesty. Okay, nurture integrity and suppressing greed or corruption is the right thing to do. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, because I translated this the wrong way, but yeah. So this is your translation. So basically, we should always expect more, set a high standard for ourselves. Okay, we always set a high standard for ourselves. It should be higher than, we like to set a standard for other people. That's a common mistake that we do. Is like, oh, you should follow my standard, right? But then it's all relative. So we can apply that standard to ourselves. Have that same high expectation for ourselves, but at the same time, we have to be modest. We can't be arrogant. Say, oh, look, I follow this high standard. But yeah, we still have to be modest. And so, and then also nurturing that integrity. Okay, so we also integrity of spirit. Yeah, having integrity, honesty. That will also suppress our desires, for greed and corruption. That comes together. As long as we're honest. The other day, there's one of the units in this building, right? They had to replace the water heater, right? And so they had a guy come out, plumber, to replace it. And I asked for the guy's card, and then he kind of told me, he's like, oh, if you if there are other things that need to be done, or here, call me, and then I'll give you like $50 per. I don't know.
Well, it's referral.
You can say it's a referral, but he's charging them more than
Oh,
right? Because so otherwise, he's charging them more so that he can give me $50. And I was like, well, okay, this is kind of like almost like a bribe, but kickback. It's a kickback, right? So we have to be careful of these things. So okay, so yeah, so obviously always being honest, integrity, that's the right thing to do. Okay, shouldn't be greedy. Okay. All right. So, okay, bear in mind that it will not help or be a benefit to our lives if we are wildly arrogant and pursue self-interest or gain or advantage, personal advantage. Yeah, we think that we gain something, like we took advantage of someone, right? We got something, or if we're being arrogant that maybe people, they have to listen to us. Okay, ultimately we lose. Okay, we lose obviously our virtue. We've lost our virtues, for one. Probably we lost merits too, and so ultimately, this is a short-term, very short-sighted view of gain, right? Again, we're falling into this gain and loss type of thing, and we think gain is always better, right? Being taken advantage of is, I'm losing something, but actually gain and loss, it's one, right? I lose something, but I gain something. I gain virtue. Okay, so that's the part that we usually don't look at. It's like we just look at the material things. Those are the things that we can gain or lose. But then our virtue, that's really more important because that's what we can keep, right? So if we lose the material things, or we gain the material things, when we leave this world, we lose it all anyways. Okay, so doesn't make sense. So, but virtues, if we virtue, we keep that when we leave. Okay, that we still have that, and in the next life we still have that virtue. Okay, so that's more important, right? So in terms of our view of gain and loss, advantage, disadvantage, these are all the common view is incorrect. It's not. I mean, it's very. You can say it's also very short-sighted. All right. So, okay. Because
You mentioned that in the next three lines.
Yeah.
Next third line down.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So basically, it also creates karma. Okay. So that's one. The other aspect to it, that short-term gain leads to karmic debts, which leads to loss, eventually suffering. Okay. All right. So anyways, we should do the opposite and increase our benevolence so that we don't become absurd due to harboring of desires, greed, and contentiousness. Okay. Right. So instead of seeking gain or advantage for ourselves, being benevolent, giving. All right. Let others. I mean, we don't necessarily want to let others take advantage of us, but don't always be more giving, right? Better to give than to receive. Okay, so we give through our compassion, our kindness, our mercifulness, and let others take the credit or whatever, right? So that's always better. And okay, so not ignorant and enlightened superior person is magnanimous. Okay, so does not hesitate to relieve the suffering or help those in need with a compassionate heart, right? So those, as a superior person or enlightened person, we are not ignorant, okay, by definition, but we're open-minded, open-hearted, very tolerant, very giving. Okay, those are very key qualities. If you look at through history, Buddha or Jesus, very giving. They give of themselves. They give everything of them, all of themselves, okay, for others. Okay, so to help relieve the suffering of others, right? That's true giving, and ultimately, when you give that way, you gain everything, right? Because you lose the self, that ego, you lose that false self, and you gained your true self. Okay. Willing to let go of right and wrong, fame, wealth, and power, right? And we can be truly free. Okay, so we saw that earlier. Cultivation releases us from such bondage and also frees us from temptations, right? So cultivating, so all this is talking about cultivating, how we can cultivate these various things that we need to get rid of or what we need to follow. This bondage, that we're in, it's like we're in. We're tied down. We're tied down by all these attachments to things, our wrong views of the world, wrong views of what's gain and loss, right and wrong. All these things kind of tie us down. They prevent us. They give us prevent us from truly becoming enlightened. Okay, so and obviously having these attachments, things like that, desires, that goes down the path of temptation, right? So by cultivating, then we get rid of that, so we won't be tempted, right? We won't be tempted when someone bribes us or someone wants to give us a kickback, right? Or anything like that, right? Okay, so if we intoxicate and confuse ourselves, we will lose our virtue. To contend and fight subdues or diminishes our true nature. Okay, again, to be intoxicated in this world, right? It's intoxicated by wealth, by fame, all these things, okay? Even by our emotions, our senses, right? We get confused, and just like I said earlier, we gain something, but we lost our virtue, okay? To fight, to contend with things, to try to gain things. You're striving for things, right?
Fame, wealth, power. Whatever.
Then so we're. Our true nature, it doesn't diminish, but
right.
It's
really, you say it's more contrary.
It goes against it. It kind of suppresses it.
It does,
it suppresses it. It covers it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Suppress,
right.
Contrary to.
Yeah.
It really doesn't diminish.
Yeah.
It's always there.
What diminishes is our virtue. Our virtue diminishes.
Our right is how how much attachment
Right.
attachment we let go.
Yeah, right.
That would be mandatory,
Yeah,
right.
right.
Right. So it's
Okay.
not. So it's not that it defeats it. There's nothing. It's not. It just covers it up.
Yeah, right.
You know, it doesn't.
It's overcoming it.
Right,
Yeah, I mean,
right.
because it becomes, it's like it becomes,
Well,
it's
maybe better way to
overcome
say
by
it's
it.
contrary. Right?
Yeah.
It's contrary. So if
Um,
you do things that's not contrary, of course you'll be bright.
Yeah.
Naturally bright. Right. So.
So, okay. And then, so we will not be sorry if we do not seek fame and gain and know what our true goal and aspiration is, okay? The true goal and aspiration is to seek that, you can say that eternal, what the ultimate truth, the eternal life, if you will, the enlightenment, okay, the Buddhas have achieved. Tranquility allows us to go far and to be dignified and spontaneous and natural. So this is truly being natural, not following the human nature, what we think of natural, the emotions, the senses, okay? So this is the true nature, all right? Okay. So now so that's the first half. The second half was by Jigong Buddha. Says, deliberate with a non-motivated heart and mind to resonate with heaven and earth, right? The heart of Wu Wei, the mind of Wu Wei, so we say non-motivated, just coming from our true nature. This is what's truly natural, okay? Not coming from our human nature, but our Buddha nature, right? So in this non-motivated heart mind, there is no gain, loss, right? None of that, no attachment, no desire, okay? And so that is the heart of heaven. So that's why it resonates with heaven and earth. I mean, it's part of nature. It's part of that true nature. Okay, it's not the human nature. Is you can say we create our own. It's part of that other duality. Okay, so the heaven and earth. This is the true. Well, it resonates with that true absolute, the non-relative. World, okay, realm. Right. So simplicity and honesty and utmost kindness is truly the best. When it is dark, we must cherish the light within.
I feel like this the second sentence,
Yeah.
当知蔼蔼, I think it's talking about like a true gentleman who is not very low key. It's not in like,
darkness.
What you call promoting himself or announcing that he's so good. But although it appears to be dark, but there's light or there's the like wisdom inside.
Right. So I mean. Yeah, so obviously, like an arrogant person, you can tell. I mean, you can see. They all talk about themselves, right? But a person who's really wise, who's real virtuous, they won't talk about themselves, right? They never talk about themselves, and so that's why it's says dark, right? It seems like we don't know much about this person. We don't see that they've done a lot of good deeds, right? But yet inside, right, very bright, right? Their virtue. Okay, so that's what that really means there. Thanks.
看那个爱内涵光，经人师讲，他解释是真空生妙。
Okay. It's the cosmos, the universe. Although it's not so bright, but right, there's. 是不是就真空妙有？
Yeah.
真空妙有。
Okay. So basically, within this world, that true emptiness. Okay, it's invisible.
Right.
Right, we don't. It's not visible. It's not apparent yet. It's
Right.
so marvelous, so amazing, so bright. I mean, we don't see with our eyes, but it can do anything. Right? I mean, everything comes from it. Okay, so that's another way to talk about. But that's also talking about our true nature, Buddha nature too. Okay, so it's the same thing. I'm talking about the person, and it's that true nature, that marvelous Buddha nature within us. We don't see it yet. It can manifest itself in wonderful ways. Okay, through our virtues. 真空妙有.
We've been talking about this.
Marvelous.
Marvelous. What?
That
Emptiness.
emptiness. I don't know.
真空 true emptiness.
Yeah. Sunyata. Sunyata. That's Hindu. Sunyata.
Okay. All right, so don't let a moment's desire cause our life to go off course or to become lost, right? So sometimes, that's like falling for temptation, right? We have a desire, and in a moment of weakness, right? We fall for it, we go for it, we pursue that thing. Then, that's we've kind of lost our virtue at that moment, and we can go off course. So the problem is one leads to another, right? So yeah, we say, oh, only this time, I'll do this time. But hey, if there's a this time, then there's going to be a next time probably, right? So that we keep doing that, and it becomes a habit, right? And then we completely go off course. So we have to be careful. Always be aware of our desires. Be aware that we should cut it off if it's improper. Okay. Because the further along we go, the further away, more off course we get. Right. So it's always important to cut it off early. Heart and mind of composure or being free from vexations leads to a broad, tranquil road ahead. Fragrance beside us everywhere. Again, be truly free from all sorts of attachments and desires and all these worries. Being composed, you can say that's true emptiness. Okay. Then the head will be smooth. Well, it will be tranquil. I mean, if nothing will bother us. Okay, so obviously it'll be tranquil, right?
Nothing can influence.
Yeah, they won't bother us. They won't influence.
Mind and therefore our actions.
Right.
Or our views, whatever.
Right. So then we don't accidentally create karma. That unwanted karma. Okay. Okay, so we will be brighter if we take appearances and forms lightly. Be warm-hearted with sentient beings, and there will be much joy. These appearances and forms, they're always changing anyways. Okay, they don't last. They're impermanent. So we shouldn't take them too seriously. All right. If we're warm-hearted, we're kind, gentle with others. There will, everyone will feel it. We'll all be.
And we'll be joyful.
Yeah, we'll be joyful. I mean, ourselves and others too. So that's how you can spread the joy, right?
Just like we were saying, when you give people a rose, you smell rose in your hand.
So you still have that, right? So you gave it to someone, but you still have it too, right? Okay, so think carefully what is real or true and what is false and illusory. Okay, the eminence of our true nature brightens and warms all. Okay, so again, recognizing what's true and false, what's real and what's illusion, right? Everything we see pretty much is illusion. Okay, so that's why all these forms, appearances, it's all illusory. So we have to be careful. The eminence of our true nature is very bright. If we can just manifest that true self and not be attached to those or pursue those false things, those illusory things, then that brightness will emanate and brighten and warm. It's like spreading this warmth in the world. Whatever we encounter will be quite quiet and peaceful. We may as well meet and realize our Buddha nature all the way. So we should go all the way. I mean, we should not. That's not.
It just take whatever comes, and with just a tranquility or peace of mind, we just it says appreciate whatever comes.
Appreciate.
Enjoy whatever comes our way.
Oh, okay. Sorry, need to correct this, but yeah. Okay, so. Right. Okay. Yeah, it's talking about what we encounter. Yeah. So. Take it calmly, appreciate it. Yeah, again, even karma, bad karma, right? We're paying back some karmic debts. We have to appreciate that we can pay it back. Okay, so so take it as it comes. Don't get upset. All right, don't let our emotions get in the way of how we should behave. Outside conditions should not affect or cause us to falter. The heart, mind, maintain that self-reflection on our Buddha nature within. Right. So again, Don't let the outside influence us, our heart and mind. Don't let it cause us to do things we shouldn't do. All right. So always self-reflect, reflect on ourselves, our Buddha nature, right? Then that wisdom, we can draw on our own wisdom, okay?
So this talks about wisdom, right? You have to maintain that, inner, let's say wisdom,
Yeah.
It's really wisdom.
Yeah.
Self-reflection.
Yeah, wisdom, and it's also an awareness, self-awareness.
Yeah, awareness.
Yeah.
Mindfulness.
Okay. So quickly follow the Tao forward. How can we be careless, busy, blind, and ignorant? Right. So follow this Tao. We know this to be the truth. Okay. The principles are true. This Tao is true. Right. The mandate is true. Okay. So we shouldn't delay. We shouldn't hesitate in following this. We should and still going by our old habits and old way of thinking and all that. So we need to correct ourselves, follow this Tao as soon as possible, right? No, shouldn't be blind anymore. Okay. Diligently promote the innate virtue or moral excellence. Okay, develop or bring forth the precious, merciful heart. Again, that virtue that within, we all have it. It's just that we have to bring it out. Okay, the only way to, and so that's what all these scriptures we've been talking about. Bringing out those virtues. When we do that, then that will also be getting rid of the unwanted stuff, the attachments, desires, etc. And always have that compassionate, merciful heart. Okay. Should always be that's really that is always that's the heart of a Buddha. Okay. Never shrink back nor make haste. Okay, or don't be impulsive, don't be reckless. Follow or abide by the rules and procedures. That is truly worthy and virtuous. Okay, so following these principles. Okay, these principles, following our conscience. Right, and then the rules and procedures within the temple. We should, we don't want to be hasty in doing things because then we can become reckless or don't. Again, this usually means not following our emotions. Right, when we get emotional, then we become impulsive and we do reckless, and it's reckless. Okay, so always if we have that composed mind, then we won't do that. Don't shrink back from things that we're supposed to do. We should forge ahead and do. So it takes some courage to do things, but we should not fall back, regress. We don't want to regress. Okay. Using propriety in all our dealings as the proper direction. Sincerity manifests an outward heavenly appearance. Okay, so again, using the virtues, the proprieties in dealing with everyone, that's the right way. Again, that sincerity. Everything we do should be done sincerely. Okay, so again, that we're not just doing it because I'm supposed to do it. Because it's a transmitting master, I have to, we have to be sincere. Okay, so and it's actually no matter who we're dealing with, we should always be sincere as well, right? And that when we're truly sincere, it really shows. People can feel it. Okay, sense that they know that we're really sincere. Okay, so that's that outward heavenly appearance. Karmic consequences spare no one. Okay, so karma. Yeah, we know we can't escape karma. No one can escape karma. So that's why we want to sow a good seed, a kind seed, to reap a sweet fruit or result. Okay, so keep that in mind. Anything that we do, we create karma. So we always want to plant the good seed. Okay, and especially if we do it, in the wu way, the non-motivated, then that's the true. We can actually, you can say we can almost transcend the karma, right? We don't have attachments to what we did or anything like that. Then that is true merit too. Okay, and so the result will be even greater than whatever the material return is. A vile or lowly person has lost the brightness of their moral character. A superior or virtuous person's brightness is evident. Right? So obviously, you can say it's very obvious.
The
Right?
second sentence echoes the one that's talking about.
That prior one.
It appears to be dim on the outside, but actually their virtue is going to show more and more.
Yeah.
As time goes by.
Right. So like our holy teacher always says, to be kind of foolish, look foolish, but you're very wise. Okay. So people. Well, the foolish is normal people think we're foolish because you're not pursuing all these wealth, fame, things like you're just stupid, right? But actually, that's the wise path, right? That we have virtue, so that we shine brightly in terms of our virtue. Okay. So create a bright future for ourselves. It is truly auspicious to understand this left side nobility. So basically all this is taught as left side nobility. So if we follow these practices, then that is where we are practicing or manifesting this left side nobility. Okay. So that is the way to that's how we can become saints, sages, and Buddhas. Okay. All right. So.
Hey, where's the mark this?
You can scroll down. Yeah. Oops. Wow. It's kind of slow. Slow motion. Okay, so anyway, those are the two words. Whoops, delay there. There's a little delayed reaction there. Whoops! Whoa! Went over it. Went past. This is chapter 31 of Tao Te Ching. Yeah. Well, it's the title of that chapter too. Yeah. Okay, so yeah.
Nobody could guess that.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah. Yeah. Gui.
Yeah, it's so cursive.
Yeah, that's I guess the ancient way they write it is. Yeah.
This is script.
Yeah, it's ancient script.
Yeah.
It's ancient script, so it's not even just today's script is probably not the same either, right? So this is ancient script. So.
I think they use the scratch to outline and look beautiful.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, this is chapter 31.
Mention also about the right side too. And he says the right side is always, it's not, it's even though it's military, general, martial. Yeah, general. But he says it's sorrowful, it's sad. So that's why he doesn't like to go on right. It's sad because it's war.
It's killing.
It's about war, right? So that's what chapter 31 also says.
Yeah.